Good morning. This is Bill from Curious Cars and Auto House of Naples on a unbelievable muggy Florida Tuesday morning. I mean, it is absolute crap without any question. We have an impending tropical storm, so I'm braving tropical storm weather to bring you this car. I've got a weird little reprieve from the rain, so I'm trying to sneak this in. As a result, I'm going to make it a quick take on this particular car. One of these quick reviews that I'm famous for. And hopefully it goes smoothly without, any sort of flying debris or nastiness otherwise. The animals, I don't know if they sensed the storm coming or around, but they haven't been out harassing me. There were a bunch of deer on the road on the way down here, but they mostly seemed to keep to themselves. They weren't doing any suicidal jumps in front of the car, which is great. The rabbits, same thing. I saw one, that was it, and he got out of the way. So hopefully everything goes nice and smooth with no problems at all. Again, the weather, I mean, you've got to be shitting me. It is just that awful right now. There's zero breeze, none at all. The air is completely dead, and I can't really see. I have this vague black lump in the viewfinder of the camera through the fogged up glasses, and I hope it's the car. For all I know, I'm zeroing in on Peter's old Sequoia in the back, but with any luck, it's the car I'm intending to do. And we're just going to leap straight, get right into this thing, and go. I will do a quick little aside. Forgive me, just one little aside. So this is Tropical Storm Elsa that's coming, and that is a nice traditional proper name for a named storm. Go back, many decades, and storms were entirely named after women. This was a thing that happened. Basically, tropical storms, hurricanes, that sort of thing, are violent and unpredictable. And that is why they were named after the female of the species. After a while, the feminists got very upset with that. They didn't like it. So they insisted that tropical storms start being named after men. And then that became a thing. So all of a sudden, men are getting named in storms. Well, nothing ever stays the same, so a bunch of groups representing different ethnicities in the country said, hey, it's not fair that these are only getting named after, Protestants. We want some ethnic names in there as well. So then they actually lobbied to have storms named after them. They didn't see it as a negative the way that women did, the way women see, frankly, almost everything they don't come up with as a negative. So now storms are also named after ethnicities. Spit that out through the coronavirus whiskey this morning, which, yes, is still going on. Anyway, there in brief is the quick history of naming tropical storms and hurricanes, and fortunately we do have Tropical Storm Elsa, a nice traditional proper name, on the way to give us some rain today, and of course plenty of miserable humidity. But anyway, that's it. So that's my little aside for the day. Today I have this 2018 Mercedes-Benz E63 S AMG Wagon. It thrills me to have this car. I have to admit it. Even though I'm no particular fan of modern Mercedes-Benz products, I make no secret of that. I frankly think the last great Mercedes-Benz product probably came out in the 80s, maybe the 90s. There's certainly an argument for that. And everything thereafter was kind of junky. I do secretly have a tremendous love affair with this car and other AMG wagons from, whenever they came out all the way to current. And that's because they're completely ridiculous and silly and entirely out of the character of Mercedes-Benz. In car guy parlance, in automotive parlance, there's a term called the sleeper. And what the sleeper car is, and then there's different kinds, but if you traditionally look at what the sleeper car was, it dates back to the 50s and drag racing, when not everybody wanted to have tunnel rams and superchargers coming out of the hood, giant tires in the back, exhaust shooting flames out, advertising how fast they were. Some guys wanted to have a very conservative looking car that had a nuclear reactor under the hood, but nobody really knew it. and that way they could, either just surprise whoever it was they were racing against, or more commonly, give them a false sense of security so they'd open their wallet wider, and then the sleeper car would smoke them in the quarter mile or street light to street light racing, and a lot of money would change hands. And of course, the factory caught on to this, factory producers. So over the years, there have been many factory-produced cars that look like sleepers. One comes to mind, the early 90s GMC Typhoon, this crazy little pickup truck that, for the time, the horsepower was insane. Today, probably a V6 Camry has it, but it was a very quick truck, and to the uninitiated, they would have absolutely no idea. There was a Volvo R Wagon, same kind of thing, a Mazda 6 Speed, which looked like a silly little sedan and had insane horsepower. In 17, there was the Chevrolet SS, which looked like a Malibu, but had, 450 horsepower from a Corvette motor underneath. It was basically a Holden Commodore, and, it was unexpected. When you'd be out in the streets racing one of these things, you'd blow your mind. I mean, how did this little Cobalt SS just take my, 911 in the quarter mile? But anyway, that is a street sleeper. And I think to a large extent, despite all the silly air intakes and carbon fiber trims and giant wheels, this Mercedes wagon fits squarely into that category. I really do think it does. I mean, they haven't gone to great lengths to conceal that this car has the horsepower that it does, but your average cat looking at it is just never going to know it. It turns out there's some of the junkies who like that at Mercedes-Benz, I guess, long story short, because you take this thing, it's 4,700 pounds, but under the hood is a 4-liter twin-scroll, twin-turbocharged V8, putting out about 602 horsepower, absolutely insane, 627 pound-feet of torque. It's got a 9-speed automatic, which I think is silly because it's just too many damn speeds, but with a wet clutch and flippity-flip paddles to let you bang through the gears. It's 4MATIC, so it's an all-wheel drive system, but it's infinitely adjustable with the programming, where you can even go from this pussycat highway cruiser to full-on race mode, proportion all of it back to the rear wheels, and make it just an insane rear-wheel drive 600 horsepower track dog. I mean, the car is completely nuts, absolutely nuts, and it paid off. Official time 0 to 60 3.4. Any car magazine that actually tested it found out it was quicker. Car and Driver pulled off a 3 flat in this car, a quarter mile of 11.2 at 126, at top speed governed to 180 miles an hour, and almost a full G on the skid pad. I mean, we're talking about supercar performance out of this family Truckster. For the sake of comparison, a 2018 Z06 Corvette, which was essentially a street-going track car, did a 10.95 in the quarter mile, just a couple tenths less, and 0 to 60 in 2.95. And that's with the automatic. With the manual, it was a little bit slower, right on par with this thing, which means in a drag race between this wagon and a Z06 Corvette, it's basically down to the driver, and that's just pretty incredible stuff. Genuinely is. I mean, it's, it must have procured a little bit of a smirk from the otherwise stone-faced, arrogant German engineers who put this car together. And then the question becomes why? Why does Mercedes-Benz bother putting together this 600 horsepower insane family wagon? I mean, who the hell is going to buy it? Wagons aren't even all that popular. They've made a little bit of a resurgence, but not much. I mean, you've got that Buick and some others running around, but, for the most part, the wagon is dead. Women decided and men decided that they didn't want to look like their parents, so the wagon has been replaced by the crossover or any other number of, ridiculous giant vehicles that make you look like a wildlife photographer. The elegant and lovely family wagon has been unfairly put to pasture, but Mercedes has kept going. One of the reasons for that is Mercedes-Benz most loyal customers and their wealthiest customers, the kind of people who have a estate on Martha's Vineyard where they breed champion Weimarimers or something. I mean, they drive wagons. They love wagons and they buy wagons. So they, the faithful, have kept Mercedes-Benz producing them, and that's been a little pact that's been going on over the years. And money becomes not an object. That's why about 300 or so of these in 2018 were these, the E63 S AMG, with a base price around $110,000, but none of them came that way. By the time you had any options on them at all, you're running into the $130,000, $140,000 range, which seems absolutely insane. But if there's a market for it, then why not? And if it gives Mercedes a little bit of fun and they're otherwise, you know, German and arrogant and, you know, plodded along lives, then, you know, why the hell not? So you really do have to hand it to them on this. It's just a pretty interesting car. So the long story short is, when you really need to get the kids to soccer practice on time, or, you know, need to bring those Costco groceries home at 180 miles an hour, then this car is entirely capable of it. And that does make it a pretty fascinating setup. So, all right, well, look, before I keep going, I'm dripping again. I really genuinely can't see anything. So I'm going to pause for a minute, wipe myself down, and keep going before the rain comes again. All right, so let's just dive right into this thing. So, you know, I don't know if we've adequately answered the question of why. You know, why does Mercedes-Benz need to build this long-roofed, almost 5,000-pound wagon that keeps up with a Lamborghini? The true answer to that is, if you need to have an answer to that question, then you're not really a car guy, not in the truest sense of the word. There's no genuine car guy on earth who really would seek the answer to that question. They just intrinsically know why, because why not? You know, why the hell not? It's just that cool of a vehicle. And again, from the sleeper perspective, yeah, you've got these big 20-inch wheels, you've got these ridiculous manhole cover brakes with red calipers behind it, 6 pistons up front, more than 15 inches in diameter. You know, it's a little bit of a dead giveaway. Never mind the V8 bi-turbo crap on the fenders and these, you know, insane-looking air vents in front with the AMG logo and the carbon fiber. The thing is, if you step back, if you just see it in a flash, you think, oh, there goes another, you know, rather elegant Mercedes E-Wagon, and somebody ordered it in a bit common the way they set it up. Otherwise, you're thinking, you know, this isn't going to have this kind of insane performance. But of course it does, and that's what's pretty cool about it. But anyway, let's just get into this thing. We'll start inside the hatch. So this one does not have the blackout kit. So you've got all the chrome down the side windows, which I think helps with the street sleeper thing. You make that black and it does look a little more racy. Even if it did have that blackout kit, it would still have that chrome strip on the back, which then seems a bit odd to me. So it doesn't bother me at all that it doesn't have that. You've also got 4 pipes coming out the back of this optional AMG Performance Exhaust. I'm sure it has a normal Performance Exhaust without it, but more so with the option. You can see a carbon fiber diffuser down there, a little bit of an overhang over the rear window, and of course a rear wiper to keep your path clean, your reverse path anyway. I just love wagons. There, of course, is the E63 S. Now, you've got about 35 cargo feet with the back up, the rear seats up, and about 65 with it down. So again, shopping isn't going to be a problem. 2 things that are notable here inside the hatch. Number one, thank you, Mercedes, for keeping the infant and toddler containment net going. So you can see the net is deployed. That can also be deployed when the front seats are folded down. Whiskey therapy. That can also be deployed when the rear seats are folded down flat, and then the net is right behind the front seats, and that will not allow your toddlers or infants to paw their way through and get up into the front with you. So that's a much, you know, very thankful feature. One bummer is, on the E63 wagons, there is no rearward seating for kids, so it's not a 7-passenger wagon the way you can get in the standard E400. Honestly, it's probably a good thing, because you may ask if the kids are bolted in. You know, they say they are because kids lie. It's what they do. You decide to do a race start, 0 to 60, 3-second thing, and basically you're just going to launch your toddlers through the back window, and at that stage they're going to have to hitchhike home, and it's not going to be a good time for them. So rather than deal with that liability, I think Mercedes just did away with the rearward facing seats altogether, which is a little bit of a shame, because I think that's one of the ultimate American rites of passage, is taking the family road trip while you're seated backwards, looking out the rear window, seeing what's going on, and flicking boogers at the cars behind you, or, you know, otherwise making faces at them, and just doing what American kids do. So a little bit of a pity on that front, but I'll take the infant containment net over the rearward facing seats anytime. But there it is. So there's your back. You have a couple nets on the side. Here's a set of books. Never did check to see if there's a window sticker in here. Something I did want to see in this car if it had one, but doesn't appear to. I have a feeling this thing's stickered in the $140,000+ range, which is always fascinating to see. There's a weird set of little lug nuts in case you have to put the spare on. And under here you've got, looks like a first aid kit, a front license plate, and what the uninitiated might see is as a nitrous oxide tank instead of air suspension reservoir. But anyway, all very nice and proper back there. And I'm guessing, because I can't see anything with the fog glasses, but if you push that button, down comes the hatch. Let's have a look under the hood. And again, this is going to be a quick take. I have a feeling this is not going to be a 40-minute video, because again, the rain is on the way. No, okay, thank God. It's not one of those dual-pulleyed things. Okay, so under here we have a 4-liter twin-turbocharged hot aluminum V8 from AMG, supposedly hand-built. Every AMG motor is signed by the person who put it together. This one was put together by Betty Rodriguez, as were many of the ones that we seem to have. Again, 2 turbocharges, 602 horsepower, 627 pound-feet of torque, 2 overhead cams, 32 valves. You know, it's insane. Direct injection. It's a nuclear reactor under the hood of this thing. That is, again, made into a 9-speed automatic, which I think is silly. Honestly, I don't know why the whole trend has moved to having these ultra. I mean, I'd be happy with a power glide from an old GM. Give me 2 forward gears. It's just easier. You know, I'm always going to know what gear it's in. You get into 9 speeds. How the hell does the car know even what gear to put it in? But, you know, from all the tests I've read, people have said this car is pretty good about figuring out what gear to be in. Fair enough. I can't say I can argue with that, but there it is. It does have Distronic Cruise, so it's got this radar thing. There is an option where you can have one of these really ostentatious light-up stars, which thank God this doesn't have, because I think that's ridiculous. It does have some kind of adaptive headlight thing. It's the weirdest deal. When you fire this car up at night, it does this big light show up in front where it swoops the light, left, right, up, down, presumably to find its center. And it looks really cool and trick, but it's probably going to break, you know, the minute the car goes out of warranty. But anyway, there it is. Big AMG mill under the hood, and fantastic to see in this big station wagon. All right, and I know I'm going to walk around the car, make sure we got everything. Then I'm going to get my crap and go from there. So because this has some sort of carbon fiber kit, and I'm going to get into this when we get in the inside, it does have carbon fiber on the fenders. There you see the V8 by Turbo 4MATIC Plus badge. This is an S version, which theoretically has more horsepower than the E63 non-S version, but I don't think there are any non-S versions, at least not in America. So if there are any, I haven't seen one. You can see it has these front sensors. They work with not just parking assist and that sort of crap, but also the radar-based cruise control for blind spots and that sort of thing. You get this big, long, ridiculous gas door. Let's open that up. I don't know why it needs to be this big. I do know in some European stuff there's a second thing there. I don't know if that's adding to add blue shit for the deep. And this seems power, actually. Why is it doing this to me? Okay, I can't seem to close the gas door now that it's open. This is going to make me nuts. Maybe I have to what the hell? Alright, this is just hateful. This is absolutely hateful. You can lock the car and see if that changes anything. It has. So now if I open it, is this going to come open again? No. Alright, well I don't understand that at all, and that's irritating as hell. The wagons have different taillights from the sedans, the E63 sedans, which is great because I like these taillights better. And again, we're in big Michelin pilots on there, 14.2 inch rotors in the back. I mean, technology has really made cars insane these days. Even if I don't like them as much, I have to admit that. And anyway, we're now starting to get a little bit of rain coming down, so I'm going to get my shit together, get it inside. We'll hop in and go for a spin real quick, because I know we're not going to do the back seats in this case. Oh, God. We'll do those very quickly. Here you can see the German mood lighting this car has underneath here. This car has very exceptional mood lighting. It's got built-in nets for, you know, sun shading. Very nice setup of leather, and then the carbon fiber, which we'll get into. The Burmester stereo sounds fantastic, and it comes standard, which is a miracle. And because this has some kind of upgraded seat package, you get all this rather lovely leather stuff with the silver piping. And your Canadians are going to be pretty chipper with the rear air conditioning. I believe it's going to have rear heated seats back here, and because it's got a pano roof, which isn't open, they'll be able to open that up and get some sun coming in. So friendly and happy Canadians all around. Now I'm going to get my crap inside. We're going to hop in the front seat and go from there. Alright, well the rain has begun, so let's just get inside and drive this crazy thing. The carbon fiber mirrors. It's ridiculous. You know, alright, the hell, I'm not going to get everything wet. Let's just hop in. Real quick, I am going to fire it up with the door open. See that? Okay, and you hear a little bit of a rumble. Now, if I press this is the AMG Performance Exhaust. That's going to open it up a little bit more. We got AMG badges on the screens. And you get, turn off that stupid thing. You get much more of a, why won't that shut off? We'll do that in a minute. All right, hang on. Let me go back into race mode. Oh, this is very convoluted, but they're going to pipe. You know, the crackling and snapping and popping. You know, some of that is part of what drives me insane about modern cars and their fakery and trickery. They're piping that through the Burmester speakers. I mean, come on, Mercedes. At two, and I suppose they're doing that because the car is so well insulated that you know, you might not be able to hear that as viciously with all the windows up, the doors closed, the AC on. So they want to give you a little bit of an internal show, but I don't know. It seems a bit silly. That said, I do love the sound that comes out of this exhaust system. It is absolutely amazing. Alright, seatbelt on, and let's see what we got. So, like the other E-classes, we have two 12.3-inch screens. They're infinitely adjustable. You can put all kinds of crap in here. So if I go to the home screen up here, I can change using this little weird steering wheel mouse thing. I can go over to settings. And, you know, a lot of cars have this now. But anyway, we go into designs, and we can go into sport. We could go into, let's see, there's classic. Apparently this is a classic look. And what else can we do? We can go down to progressive. So if you, you know, want to join the Sierra Club, that's obviously the cluster display for you. But we're going to go back up into sport, and all right, let's see what else now. Back to the home thing, and we're going to put the Mercedes AMG Performance interface on there. This is also where you can get into your other stuff. This is where you're going to get service done. That'll be cheap, but you do get a free espresso. Drive assist, that's part of that $3,600 AMG premium package that gives you blind blind spot monitors and lane keeping and all that kind of crap. You also, I believe, get the Distronic Cruise for that. But other way, trip odometers, you can do a navigation screen there. Whatever, it's all fine. But let's just go over to the performance thing. Now we've got our boost, our oil temp. I presume that's oil temp, not water temp. And what is that beneath it? Probably the water temp beneath it. So anyway, there's our temperatures. You have this little naggy speed limit thing down there that, well, how do they, I will agree the speed limit in Peter's driveway is 30. That should actually be called the speed minimum because that's the minimum that he goes. But anyway, there it is. Part of this package, it came with this sort of fancy little flat-bottomed steering wheel with a centering ring, so, you can go to the track. It did not have the $8,500 ceramic brake option, which is just fine unless your daily commute involves lapping road Atlanta, because when the time comes to change your brake pads, you're going to be pretty happy about that. You do get a heads-up display, Corvette style, that is probably customizable, but we've got a tack in miles per hour and another little stupid speed limit thing, so we may as well just keep that there. Over here you've got a row of buttons. This will put the headrest down. This will raise the car, that aromatic thing. Again, always helpful when you're trying to get over a gangster's head. This is your lane assist, which you can turn off, which I'm doing. Here is a complaint that I'm going to register right now. So we've got all this lovely leather everywhere on the dash, and it's all very nice and proper and lovely, and it's great. And then you've got this intensely expensive carbon fiber trim. I mean, this car had like $8,000 worth of carbon fiber options, and it's all along the dashboard there, into the door panels, down into the center console. And here's my issue with that. Is carbon fiber is a structural device. I mean, I get that it's pretty, I get that it's racy, and that it's cool, but does this structurally make your dashboard lighter? Do the emblems on the side of the car in carbon fiber make the fenders lighter, or the mirrors lighter because it has carbon fiber? No, it's just gratuitous. It's absolutely, oh, I'm sporty, so I've got carbon fiber. I honestly would just rather have wood. It's decorative in a way that I, prefer. It's honest decorative. This is just something that's, carbon fiber is supposed to be on the control arms, the A arms of a F1 car, not the lovely interior dash of a leather-stitched Mercedes, but, whatever. You do have these nice little Alcantara things on the steering wheel, grippities at the 10 and 2. Of course, your little multifunction stuff, including voice command and Bluetooth and radio and all that shit. Up top, you've got a big panoramic sunroof with that $1,600 Dynamica headliner option. Anywhere they can add a few bucks, they're absolutely going to. You've got hot and cool seats, which apparently you can run at the same time. And like the S-Class that I love, you press that and your controls will now adjust the right seat. So if some nitwit leaves your headrest in this big upward position, you can fix that by putting it down and not having to reach over the seat. So over here again, you've got your customizable gauges. There's the stuff that you're looking at for racing and driving. Here in the center thing, it's all controlled by, I've got water all, oh, for the love of God. See, this is the kind of crap I can't stand. I'm gonna have to wipe this off or it's gonna make me crazy. All right, so you've got this big mouse thing down here with a home button, and this is what the command unit has become. I think there's some new system coming out, which is already out, MBUX or something, but I think this was the last generation of the command unit. But anyway, you press this and you go into your home screen, and this is gonna let you get into all the crap that, your modern people need. Obviously, I'm old now, so cars aren't being built for me, but using this, you can get into your Facebooks and TikToks and TikToks and Instagram, which I believe is a cocaine delivery service of some kind, and a variety of other stupid things that snowflakes need so they can stop worrying about pronouns and climate change and just enjoy themselves. So all very nice stuff. You can also go up and adjust stuff on the car. So if we go into vehicle, you can adjust the ambient lighting. Somewhere down here, there's the light settings. So, for whatever reason, this thing has more light settings than a New York City nightclub. You can go from this Bordello, Heidelberg Bordello red to Kraftwerk green to all kinds of other crap. If you go inside the glove box, it has a perfume atomizer. And I've got to be perfectly honest with you, I don't entirely trust the Germans to come up with good driving scents. I would be much happier if it was some other ethnicity of people. I mean, I just, like Mannheim mist, or I don't know what kind of scents they're going to come up with, but I really wish they would have just subbed that out to the guys who made those little Christmas tree air fresheners at the car wash. But anyway, you can get into all this crap here, which we're not going to get into. I'm going to go back to home and get into the one important setting on the car before we get in. That's not media. Oh, for the love of God. Go back into vehicle. Track pace, dynamic select. We'll get into all that in a second. Here's seats. All right, we're in the driver's seat. Okay, we're going to give ourselves a massage. It's hot out, so I'm not doing a hot one. I'm just going to do a classic massage. Lovely. Okay, now I'm going to work properly. And what is this? Okay, we all like Merle Haggard, but not right now. All right, so back over into vehicle, and now we're going to go to... Where are we going to go? We got climate control. You can screw with that. Dynamic select. Engine data via... Okay, whatever. Track pace. Use this on racetracks only. That sounds great. All right, we're just going to leave it on this, whatever it is. Oh, look at this. We got drag racing. We got road racing. We got driver profile. Oh, I remember reading about this. All right, so what it'll do is basically act as a data... acquisition tool, like something race cars sometimes have in them, where you can tell your entry speeds, exit speeds, road holding, turning angle, corner by corner stuff. All pretty cool and pretty interesting that Mercedes makes it inside a station wagon. What else have we got in here? The browser, maps. Oh, for the love of God, it would take me months to figure all this crap out. And this one is supposed to be easy, hilariously. So, anyway, we're going to leave that there. We could go back into other stuff. There's direct access for navigation. You got this big screen. Lovely. You can get into your radio. If you still do AM, FM, you can get all of that stuff. Media, we're going to get back into the Bluetooth. I believe there's CarPlay and Android shit. It's all in there if you want it. And telephone, blah, blah, blah. Couple of pretty nondescript cup holders there, a whole row of shit on either side of the command unit. This changes the dynamic drive settings, so when I move it down, you can see I'm in race mode. You can go to Sport Plus, Sport, or Comfort. You can even hear the exhaust change when I do that, and that changes not just engine settings and transmission settings, but even the exhaust, and changes the eternally dampening struts so that they get into a soft position where the potholes aren't going to kill you. So if you're driving through Detroit, you better put that on the soft mode. This will change to manual. You can see the M there in the middle of your track pack. That means you have to use the flippity flips now. You've got your suspension on full stiff here. You can turn off your traction control if you're daring. This is the enhanced camera. That turns off that stop-start feature, which you get at traffic lights, which is ridiculous. And otherwise, everything nice and chipper there. You also have a very nice little area here for USB, SD cards, and weapons and gun storage. So, weapons and gun storage. I meant to say drug storage, but what the hell? Let's see, we got some wipers going. Yeah, all very nice. Let's get out of here. I'm glad the roads are wet, because that way I can absolutely kill myself this morning. Okay, so as we wait for the doors to open, I can tell you that I'm feeling very nice and ensconced in these seats with the sport mode. They do have dynamic seats, which, people who make as much money as can afford this wagon shouldn't have to brace their body when they're making turns. So Mercedes has come up with seats for them that allow them to puff up on one side or the other to keep your body stiff and straight under high G turns. And you really have to appreciate Mercedes for that. Okay, so we've got several different setups here. Now, very simply, anytime that you're in sport mode or race mode or whatever, you can press the brake, you can press the gas down, and it's going to go into this race start mode. Holy shit! let's stop that for a minute. Now, if I wanted to get even more radical, which I certainly can do, I can leave it in race mode. There we are. I can turn off the traction control. Off. I can't do this easily, so let me just camera down for a second and pull both paddles. I've pulled both paddles and nothing happened. All right, because I'm not in manual. All right, now I'm in manual. Let me see if I can aim this. I'm going to pull both paddles. Drift mode, confirm. Everything's so hard one-handed. Paddle up. Okay, so now we're in drift mode. What that has done is decoupled the front diff. So now we're in a rear-wheel drive car with a no traction control. That's gonna let you drift your way around the racetrack. Thank God for rev limiters, by the way, in a very, very dangerous sort of way on a skinny little road that's wet with mailboxes everywhere. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get out of race mode, back into sport, cancel drift mode, and now we're just going to be a hooligan with all the comforts of traction assist. But you get the idea. I mean, the Mercedes engineers have actually built in hooliganism into this car. In the old days, the Mercedes-Benz traction control would always kick on like an over-aggressive nanny that was unhappy you were having any fun at all. The minute the car started breaking loose or drifting, bam, there it would be. Well, you put this thing in drift mode, which is, you know, straight out of the, frankly, the Hellcat playbook, and you could just chew the tread off whatever tires are in the back to your heart's content, and the nanny's gonna stay out of it. So pretty incredible stuff in my mind, and very, very cool from the Mercedes engineers, and exceptionally cool for a wagon. On the sound of this thing, we still have traction off. I'm gonna turn that back on because I just simply don't trust myself in the rain. Shit. Yeah, you see, this is why I would have no license in very short order if I owned this car. You know, it's just like that Hellcat from the other day. I mean, it really is quite ridiculous. I mean, that was a very slow takeoff compared to what this car is actually capable of. And it actually put me back in my seat G-force wise. I can only imagine in the dry pavement when it gets all four wheels to hook up, no wheel spin at all. You're doing the 0 to 60 run in the, you know, 3 or low 3s. It is just hang on for dear life time, and I find that awesome in a station wagon. I mean, beyond awesome. God damn. And the sound from the exhaust. So here's the thing. I don't necessarily love new cars. I mean, I'm going to admit that technology, the way it's happened, has created an incredible opportunity to make even the most pedestrian station wagon something bordering on insanity. I mean, with performance that you could only dream about in the 1980s. I mean, only dream about. There was nothing like this back then, unless you were getting into some sort of IMSA car. I mean, it's just astounding what you can go down to your local dealerships and buy to abuse yourself, and that's all fantastic. I would also argue that even though I think most of these cars have lost their soul by being so similar to other cars, the wagon, the Mercedes wagon, by virtue of it being a wagon, sort of retains a little bit of the joyous insanity from years past, and I do give them some credit for hanging on to it and for making this insane, crazy thing. I really, really do. So if I had to have a new car of some variety, you know, and I had endless gobs of money to spend on a $140,000 family Truckster, then yeah, this would probably be the car that I bought. I mean, if I had to make a road trip across America, you really could have a lot of fun doing it in this, although honestly, I wouldn't have a license by the time I got out of Georgia. No question about that. Anyway, there it is. So this is a 2018 Mercedes-Benz E63 S AMG Wagon. That's a mouthful. It's got shitloads of horsepower, unbelievable handling, everything you could ever want in a car, including luggage capacity. It just does everything well. And even if I'm, you know, a little opposed to silly modern snowflake cars, this one really does impress. Quick take, thank God, and hopefully we're under 30 minutes on this one, fingers crossed. We got this tropical storm coming through, probably going to rain tomorrow. Don't think I'll get anything else up, so hopefully one more by the end of the week, and I really appreciate you having a look. The Cordoba is coming, I promise. It's coming, and we will see you with the next one. Take care. To that.